All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to T. Gordon Salon Talks. I'm Tony Gordon, and I'm really excited today to bring you our next guest, CAROLE Phillips. CAROLE is owner of Beauty Smarts, and that is a company which has been advising people in retail, sales, and how to run businesses for at least 30 years in the business. She won American Salon's Retailer of the Year, and has also written books on retailing and is a guru to really the entire salon industry, big companies, salons, spas, and so many other directions that you go. I mean, CAROLE, you are like a one-person show. And we just were at the Millennium Conference where we had a chance to reconnect. So I'm so excited that you're here with me on T. Gordon Salon Talks. Thank you for coming on.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for inviting me, and I'm delighted to share a few minutes with you and your viewers.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this goes out in a couple different ways, just so you know, people get to see it. We put it on YouTube, and then also we put it in an audio form so people can just simply listen to it on iTunes or Shout Engine or one of the other ones. We're probably going to start Stitcher soon. All this new technology is just crazy. But, tell us a little bit, for the people who don't know who you are, yep. Tell us the thing that you do that makes what you're doing really so important.
Well, in a nutshell, everything I do and my company does is how to drive service and retail sales. So over the evolution of, beauty school, graduating, being a sales rep for a cosmetic company, I opened my first beauty business when I was 21, did some things that were different. Word got out that our retail sales were, 7 times the national average, which led to the American Salon Award. Everything that I've done over the last couple of decades is really on how do we as an industry get comfortable driving service and retail sales. So I work with beauty brands and their sales team, distributors, their sales team, amazing salons that have a commitment to driving service and retail sales. I work with spas, destination resorts. I work with beauty school students and everything I focus on is how do we create the right environment, have the right tips and techniques and skills for the service providers to get comfortable selling themselves, selling their service, and selling their product. So I actually went to beauty school not too far from you. I'm an Illinois girl. And I remember I had 1,500 hours. I had cuts, perms, and color. I did one facial with the Queen Helene mint julep mask. I don't know if any of you are old enough to remember what the Queen Helene was, but it was this mask that dried on your face that you almost had to chisel off, and one manicure. And nothing about how do we present ourselves? How do we sell? How do we build a book? It was how do you go through school, be safe, pass state board, and get out and make a living. And so so everything I do today is working with companies that want to drive service and retail sales. So I kind of look at it as I'm your economic stimulus package.
How do you do it? I mean, so many hairdressers are resistant to being salespeople. So how do you do it?
Well, in a nutshell, they're resistant because they don't know how to do it. Mm-hmm. So we keep, as owners or managers, we do goals, we do incentives, we do team-based pay. We keep, you have to, what's your numbers, you have to sell. But very few owner managers make the commitment to give them the what to say it, how to sell themselves. I mean, most of us in the industry, we can talk haircut, we can talk texturizing, we can sell, hair color. But when that really translates to selling those 3 things, there's some pretty huge gaps between being comfortable selling themselves and then really talking about take home care, what do I need in my bathroom? So we keep banging the drum, but we don't give them the sheet music on how to do it. So the only way that we can move the sales needle is by giving them the skills. So, for example, I had a salon down in Atlanta, and so I went in on location. I did a short training class, and she had an apprentice working in the salon. And the apprentice got so excited, put the information to work, The little stinker did $1,000 in take home the first week as an apprentice. You know, and so I know it works. I mean, I've had hairdressers go from, 2% to 20%. I've had massage therapists go from 0 to 20%, which is, earth shattering for a massage therapist.
That is.
Yeah. And so I think as an industry, we kind of, we keep teaching cutting. We teach, shampoo techniques. We latest, greatest hair color, whatever. But most beauty businesses, and quite honestly, that's why I've been doing it, 35 plus years, still is we haven't formulated or haven't given our team the what to say, how to say it. And we're still struggling all these years later. It makes no sense to me.
So what can my viewers, what should they be saying? They're probably driving to the salon right now. So if they want to increase their retail sales today, what can they implement?
Well, okay. Here's how I look at sales training. I'll gladly share a couple of nuggets, but here's how I look at sales training. And I know one owner that he does what I call lobs a grenade at them. So the service provider tries to sell something, then he walks over and he goes, well, you should have said it this way. Or, they lob grenades on how to sell. So I can go on YouTube and watch a 2-minute video on how to boil an egg, right? I don't know how to cook. I can go to YouTube, learn how to boil an egg, but that does not make me a chef.
True.
So lobbing a grenade doesn't necessarily make them a great salesperson. But here's one, if I could just eliminate that from most beauty businesses, and that is simply, here's what hairdressers will do. If they don't know the product, if they don't know how to sell, they will say, I love it, works good, smells great, you need to use it at home. Yeah. That's their sales pitch, right? Mm-hmm. And so then when they go to close the sale, the formal close, right, when we put on our salesperson hat, which is really not at the end, it's all the way through the sales process, is they will go, do you need any products today? And the client goes, gee, now that you mention it, no, I'm fine. Okay, 9 out of 10 will say no because you've given them a choice to say no. It's like asking your kids, do you want to clean your room? Or your husband, do you want to take out the trash? The answer is, of course, no. So if they would just flip it to, what are you about out of? What do we need to restock today? How do you plan on maintaining your look at home? You will see the sales needle move flat out. And the same for front, just straight up. But we, and so clients will go, hey, I need to restock my shampoo. And the stylist will go, hey, I made one. They don't think through like the next step. Or sometimes what they'll do, Tony, is they'll go, I need to restock, my shampoo. And then the service provider will go, well, hey, you need conditioner. Well, you and I both know, having been in the industry this long, conditioner and shampoo never run out at the same time, right?
True. So
we ask the stupid question, do you need conditioner? We hear no, we feel stupid, we feel rejected, we shut up. And so if they just flip the question, client goes, hey, I'm about out of my shampoo. Great. What else are you about out of? Or how's your sculpting product or your styling product? Because those two always run out together.
Right.
That's a simple nugget, but what they really have to learn is the recipe of the sale. And that's where once the service providers really get comfortable learning how to be a chef, then it becomes second nature. Then you don't have to.
Those questions there are really good for a stylist who's on the floor and been doing these clients for a long time, and they've really sold them a lot of things already. And those follow-up questions are sort of good ones for somebody who you've been doing regularly, and then
you've got a regular clientele. Yep, for sure.
If you're starting the sales process from the beginning of the visit, like right at the point of the consultation, does your consultation end up sounding any differently than, say, any of the other consultations that we've done, where the people are taught from various, companies? You probably wrote those, but
I've read a few of them. I think the better salons will follow a formal step by, 5 questions we need to know before we cut your hair today kind of thing. The reality is a lot of stylists they'll sit down in the chair. What are we going to do today? How'd your hair work out? And then they jump in and they're off to the service process. They're not really, getting into lifestyle and how much time they spend on their hair and where do they struggle with their hair? When did their hair lose its shape? I mean, there's a lot of other questions that should be layered in that may or may not be happening. For me, the sales process starts when they go over to greet the guest and they get that little, I can guarantee you every client looks them up and down, and what they're looking at is, do you look like you should be dispensing beauty advice? Can I trust you? Are you going to make me look like you? Is there a common denominator that me as a customer, could I feel comfortable with you? So it's there before we even get to the chair. I mean, I designed a prototype facility in Portland, Oregon, and we were in a 30,000 square foot organic grocery store, kind of like a Whole Foods. And then upstairs we had salon, spa, workout center, community education center. And I taught every one of my stylists to start the consultation. They couldn't touch a comb. They couldn't pick up anything. They had to actually hide all of the tools behind them. So the mirror was here, I'm here, you're the customer. And literally would say to them, before we begin anything, before I pick up the comb, the scissors, a brush, before I take you back to the shampoo area, I want to make sure you and I are on the same page. Let's talk about your hair. And you could literally see the client's shoulders relax from that process.
Yeah, one of the things that we do is I encourage my juniors to ask a ton of questions, what we call our Gordon Emerging Artists, to dissect the processes that the customer is doing with their hair. So, sometimes somebody will show you a picture of some style, and then you find out that they want this and that they don't have any of the tools for it. It includes a round brush or a round iron, and they're not literally using those products. They're not using those tools. And so
the stylist or the customer?
The customer.
The
customer doesn't have any of those. You have somebody who comes to you and they say, I have really dry hair. And then you dissect what they do with their hair every day. They wash it. Do you use a conditioner? No, I never use a conditioner. Well, so you told me you have dry hair, but you don't use a conditioner. So, you're finding out once you start to really dissect it. I get out of the shower, I towel dry it, I put some stuff in it, and I dry it, and then I go, okay, what do you put in it? How do you do that? Just dissecting every element of this experience that they're doing to themselves every single day. And then just really simply asking them, how do you like those products? Even if they love it, sometimes they don't. They still buy the product. It's amazing to me. But
one thing I try to keep, go ahead.
I was going to ask you, at the end of a normal consultation, do you suggest that someone should be, or the stylist should be summarizing everything and then making recommendations right there? Or should they wait?
Wait to where? Back up front?
Yeah, until say they get to the end or something. Like if you told me that your hair was dry and I said, because of what you told me, we're going to go over to the shampoo bowl and we're going to use X conditioner. Or should I just wait until
that's what I call as a sprinkle. It's kind of like the little sprinkles on a cupcake. If you're educating your guest on how to duplicate the look at home, and that's how I teach every hairdresser, is I need to sprinkle throughout the service so they know how to duplicate the look at home. But what a lot of times I see it in hair, I see it in spa and aesthetics all the time, is they do the cooking show mentality. I'm now putting the cake in the oven. All right. I'm now putting the conditioner on your hair. Well, big whoopee deal. I mean, quite honestly, unless we know the brand, unless I know the name of it, unless I know why it's beneficial for me, client basically doesn't care. They're not making the connection of this goop on my hair gets me this result. And so I definitely will sprinkle, but it has to be an effective sprinkle. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and I think, as an industry, we have to look, we're selling throughout. So it's not just at the very end when we're done with the service and they're flipping in the mirror and they love their hair and then, okay, well, follow me up front, and then there's maybe go over to the retail counter, maybe product is put on. I mean, I've been in a lot of places where the service provider dumps it on the front desk in a basket and makes the front desk team close the sale. To me, that's not the educational process. If you're my stylist, I want you to show me how to goop goo, sprinkle, dry, whatever, so I can duplicate it the next day. Because if the client can't duplicate it the next day and they struggle with their hair, Tony, what it translates to the customer is, you gave me a bad haircut.
Mm-hmm.
You don't make the connection. They've got a junky blow dryer, a ratty brush, cheap product, not the right thermal protectant or whatever. They don't make that connection. If they struggle, the connection is, you gave me a bad haircut and now I'm struggling making my hair look great at home. So that's why the home care education is extremely important. And if your service providers do that and the stylists do that, and they work with an effective prescription pad and know how to close it, I will sit here and tell you today, I can jack your sales 20%. Straight out of the chute, a guaranteed 20%.
So you're suggesting a prescription pad also, even if somebody's already buying, you're doing the prescription pad anyway?
I do it on new clients and I do it on repeats at least twice a year. And I do it on, if I'm going from virgin to color hair, if I'm going from long to short and they need to relearn the system, then I will chart them out for sure. And as a consultant, if I was going to work with your team and you go, Carol, we really want to, improve our sales, for me, that's going to be mandatory, or I won't even work with you as a client because I know it's sabotaging your sales. Now there's right ways and wrong ways to use prescription pads. And that's, part of what we teach to get them comfortable with it. But I've fired team for not doing it. If I train them, they have the tools, they have the expertise, and they don't open their mouth, I have been known to fire team members for it. Because what it says is, you don't care enough to teach that customer how to duplicate the look the next day.
Right. And yeah. And I mean, people have heard about the idea of using prescription pads, but I do think that there are a lot of people who are using them improperly.
Oh, totally.
What about the basket idea? The idea of using baskets. Does it matter if it's a basket or it's my arms? I mean, I'm simply getting the products from the shelf to the front desk, right? Or
yeah, I'll tell you, honestly, I don't even have to get them off the shelf to the front desk if I have an effective prescription pad.
So the prescription pad is at the chair?
Yeah. Yeah. And the reason is, there's a technique called breaking state. So if you've had the great experience, you and I are connecting, we're tracking, I'm buying into what you're saying to me. And then I get up and I physically leave the station. It's called breaking state. And then at that point, their mind is on to kids, soccer, dinner, grocery store. I got to pick up dry cleaning. What's traffic going to be? And the wheels start spinning. And you've lost that connection. So it's kind of like having, a great romantic dinner and, the candles and everything is beautiful. And then you go, hey, wait a minute, I got to go to the bathroom and I'll be right back. You've kind of lost the mood.
Broken state. You missed the moment. You destroyed.
You lost it.
Romance.
Yeah. Now, can I close in retail? Absolutely. Can I take product over? Absolutely. Would I love product at the desk when they go to check out? Absolutely. But I think we overlook it a lot. And then I also think, quite honestly, I just redesigned a retail space for a client, and just the way they had retail placed in the salon, the stylist wouldn't even walk that far to go get it because they were always pressed for time. So I do a lot with retail placement, display merchandising, and that to also support the sales process. But, the reality is 78% of the sale is made in the one-on-one with the butt in the chair.
Right. It's interesting because, I think that the future of the salon industry and the way technology is pushing us, it looks like we're going to have chairside checkout with a lot of the different systems that are out there, including including the new process from Millennium. How do you think that will, so it sounds like it will increase our sales. It'll make it easier to sales if you have chairside checkout occurring, right?
Yes.
Or
Well,
how do you think it'll affect it?
Okay, I grew up south of Chicago, so I'm going to tell you I'm a very straight shooter. If I can't even get them to sell without technology, how do I expect them to sell with technology? There is not one service provider when I go on location, and I always ask, what's the biggest hurdle to sales? 99% of the time they tell me time. So if I don't have time to talk and do a 30 or 60-second close, do I think they're necessarily going to close retail, pre-book the appointment, sell a membership, and get them out the door?
Right. And do you want them doing that? When I know that I have an expert hair cutter here who actually is doing, like literally $100 to $200 in services per hour. And now suddenly I want them like, do you want that person collecting money? Why would you want to do that? It's
exactly.
So let's say that there is a dance going on. There's the hairdresser, there's the client who's just finishing up on a blow dry, and a desk person comes over, and there's three-way dances occurring.
There you go.
Now, that's probably
now you're cooking with gas.
Yeah.
I think if the floater is front desk and they're supporting it, and the service provider goes, hey, I want Mary to have X and Y and Z, and my support person, and you look at it, any famous artist, Andy Warhol, whoever, they all had their manager to do the tedious stuff. So if I can play off my front desk team and run around with my iPad or etc., that's going to be a sweet spot for sure. But do I think they're going to stop and do click, click? Hell no. It's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So, but I do, so I think we have to look at, and I just did a resort training, a 5-star resort. And so I've worked with them over a year. Retail's up almost 30%. One Esty did $70,000 in skincare by herself in 6 months.
What?
Yeah. And so when I went back for follow-up training, because we taught the service providers how to do the sale and then to go to front desk to help finish, tweak, close, but we never had time on the original run to do the front desk. So I went back and did a front desk training. All of a sudden now everybody's playing tag really beautifully. And that's the only location out of 26 in their resort group that had double-digit growth. That's why I know sales training works. That's why I know if we look at the system with sales as well as what the service providers are saying, I know we can improve sales.
So it's exciting. It really is. One thing that I was reading the other day was that the greatest single thing that we do in sales to increase sales, whether it's service sales or retail sales, is enthusiasm. You bring passion and energy to whatever you do. How is it that you can, someone who's on their way to work right now, how can they really ramp it up today?
I love that. I'm going to go back to why I went to beauty school, because I wanted to make people look and feel better. I wanted my client, when they look in the mirror, all of a sudden to be proud of that reflection back to them. And, we touch so much more than just their hair. We touch their heart. You come from an Aveda background. It's the whole Daymaker philosophy. If I love what I do, if you love what you do, if you genuinely believe that the service you offer is of value, the products you offer, you're helping them love what they see in the mirror, that's going to come out, and so, I'm going to flip it a little bit. One of the skills that I teach is called they have to expect to make the sale. So if they look at their appointment book and they go, oh, you know what, my 4 o'clock, she's always late, she's always whining, she's always bitching, she never buys product. That's exactly what's going to happen, right?
Self-fulfilling prophecy.
It is, because sales does start first in your brain. you
Mm-hmm.
know, good or bad, right? It can
Right.
propel us forward, or it can scare us and shut us down, and, you know, our whole insecurity and money issues is a whole different thing.
So
But
true.
you know what? People are coming in by the droves to want to look and feel better.
Uh-huh.
And so to share your gift, to share your heart, to share your passion, to share the skills with your hands, those are clients that will totally buy your service, buy your upgrades, buy your take home, because they're not going anywhere else.
Right.
But when we look at retail, you know, I'm going to flip it to traditional retail. And one of the classes I just did at Harms was called Retail Isn't Dead, but it's on life support. And
Mm.
if you look at traditional retailers, malls are dying because it is boring. It's uneventful. There's not anything to buy. It's the same shit in every store. They
Right.
cater to 12 and 13-year-olds, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't surprise me that retail is dying, because there's no excitement. But
Mm-hmm.
when we add our passion and our commitment to it, I mean, there's literally no stopping it. And that's why, you know, great companies like yourself and your viewers, and I know a lot of, you know, salon owners, they've been around for 10, 15, 20, 30 years, is because that's the heart that they give for our industry. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
for sure. You know, I was Canyon Ranch is one of my clients, and I had done some seminars that day, and then I was going to go do, they have guest speakers. And the guest speaker that night was actually the former U.S. Surgeon General, Dr. Richard Cremora. So I'm like, I'm
Sure.
there, I'm with my
Wow.
notes. I mean, it was like amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And as he's talking, you know, he said one thing about spa, beauty, wellness, living the spa lifestyle at home. He said today, literally, 78% of all disease is totally preventable.
Mm.
Out of the 78%, most of the disease is preventable if we learn to control stress.
Mm.
Now think about that.
Yeah.
That's like 3/4 of disease is stress induced. So then I'm sitting there going, there's no better place to do that in a beauty and wellness center. Whether it's
Absolutely.
getting an amazing scalp massage or a beautiful body massage or a facial or a luxurious pedicure, to that whole self-healing process.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when I look at that and go, how many more people can we recruit to become part of our wellness team service providers? I mean, that's pretty powerful when we
Right.
look at it
And
that way.
there's no, I think that is an amazing motivation for so
Yeah,
many people, because so many people came into this to help other people. And,
absolutely.
you know, if you're a service provider, that's a good part of it. I mean, other than the art of it, but even the art of it supports other people as well.
Oh, totally. I mean,
Now,
I remember in beauty school, I mean, I got the mannequin with like 12 hairs and we had to do magnetic rollers, right? And I can remember crying for the first 6 weeks doing core, you know, that whole basic thing, crying every morning going, this sucks, the mannequin, the whatever. And my mom's like, okay, well, you can quit. No, I want to get out and make people feel better. And that was the only thing that got me through beauty school. And now subsequently really working with service providers to understand the power that they have. That then translates to retention, referrals, all your KPIs. Retention affects retail. But
now,
that all underlying is passion and commitment.
Carol, I love, you know, your whole company, Beauty Smarts, is really training oriented, but you have a bunch of different ways that you can get people trained.
Yep.
That you do. I mean, you come into the store, as you mentioned, and you can come back for these recurring visits, but also you have this online learning lounge. Tell us about all the different ways that people can get involved with Beauty Smarts, or for the salon owners that are listening, how they can, you know, really help ramp up their sales using
Awesome.
your services.
Well, thank you, Tony. I mean, there is a couple of different ways. Some locations, they say, you know, we want to fly you in, let's kick it off, you know, let's get the team fired up. And I did that for years. I mean, literally decades. But then what happens, you know, with sales, it does this, and then it does this. And so then what I designed, you know, a couple of years ago was that how do we follow up with them? So sometimes we'll do on-site and then follow up with the online sales training program. Some salons and spas just go, hey, we need to kick it up. Let's just put our team on it. And so I've designed, like, if you were going to come work for me in my salon or spa, these are the lessons that I would want you to master before I give you access to my customers, right? Because if you don't know how to sell and I'm the manager and I keep spending a boatload of money on marketing and driving the bus to get clients in, but you can't keep them because you don't know how to sell yourself, your services, and your product, then it's a waste of marketing money. So the online, what's really fun with that is that it's the first time ever in our industry that I can literally have accountability, testing, and tracking for your team members. So they would go online, watch the lesson. We can tell how, and you can, because you have a login management portal, how many minutes they actually watched the lesson. What was their score on the test? You can see the answers to their test. And so I've had owners use it as a way. One of my locations, she has 2 locations, about 60 service providers between both, met her at a trade show. And she said, Carol, I've been kind of keep telling my team they have to sell. I want to reward them. I want to offer a trip and et cetera, but I don't know how we're going to get there. So I said, okay, we have a goal. We have a reward. We have to give them the skills, and then we have to hold them accountable. So between the 60 service providers, they improved sales $180,000 in retail in 6 months. They had to go through the lessons to qualify for the rewards in the trip. You didn't do the lessons, you didn't get to go, right? So she was dead serious about it. So it was top-down commitment, and then all of the lessons and training, and then they did some departmental exercises to continue with the information.
Right.
And so that's just been amazing. I had a small salon that, put her 13 team members on it, and her retail was pretty good. She was about 20%. She went to 37% retail to service ratios in 4 months. She hadn't even completed all 6 lessons yet.
Wow.
So my theory is that if I'm the owner or manager, I can't bitch when they don't make their sales numbers if I haven't given them the tools to do that. So clients, going back to, I do on-site mystery shopping. One of my resorts, I went in for 2 days and then presented them back with a 40-page sales strategy plan from lighting, display, merchandising, product mix, everything that should be fixed between all of the departments in the resort. And their base goal, some of their service providers were 3-time over goal. Training, display, merchandising, messaging. And so it really depends on what the owner wants to do. So I say we do little projects and then we do super big ones. It depends on what the owner needs to have happen.
Right. Well, fantastic. I know you have another training that you have going on today. Carol Phillips, I want to thank you for coming on T. Gordon Salon Talks.
Thank you for having me.
That if people are really interested, they will get in touch with you. I'll put it in the notes too, but what's the best place? If we could just say it here for those that are.
Yeah, I mean, for starters, they can go to our website, beautysmarts.com, and there's a couple of different ways that they can contact us. They can send me an email, hey, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to pull the trigger. We need help. I've got one that I talked with the other day. She's been doing it 20 years. She's burnt out. She needs an infusion of branding and marketing and sales training. So everybody comes to us at a different need. So I would say let's have a conversation and see how we can best help you drive service and retail sales, because the customer is still spending money.
Right. Okay, for those of you who are driving and you can't stop, Beauty Smarts is spelled BEAUTEE, smarts.com.
It's the French way.
It's the French way. Okay.
I don't know. I just wanted something different. Yeah. So Beauty Smarts as well. My phone number's on there. They can leave a message. Actually, with my office line, they can text to that as well too, and we'll definitely reach out to it. But I have a heart and passion. I love helping beauty business owners really maximize their potential. And there's not a location that I haven't been in 20 years that isn't leaving money on the table. And it's time to change that.
Carol, if I wanted to get you to come into Gordon Salons, we have 4 locations, And let's say we were going to do, would it be a good idea to have a group meeting, like have all the players in one location, and we sort of do it like auditorium style? And how many hours would we need, that kind of thing? How would it work for kind of a larger organization like mine?
I have done exactly that.
Mm-hmm.
Where I've gone in and done, kind of my core. One of the ones I love to do is killers and builders, because we cover, 12 to 16 common things that, happen in beauty businesses that sabotage the sale. I've done that, in a big group. And then I've also done it where we've done training by department. So I like them to learn the fundamentals together, because, how we communicate is universal. And then I will also do some breakout sessions for hair only or front desk only or Estes only, just to make it more specific for them as well. So it can be done a lot of different ways. But I've gone in and done it for 5 service providers and the owner. But, especially with somebody with an amazing organization like yourself, it is amazing what you can do. And I know we're about to wrap up, but I will share this number with you, because this will make a difference. I do what we call 20-60-20 when I look at a team, and we can pull your numbers. The top 20% will sell ice cubes to Eskimos. The bottom 20% will never open their mouth. I don't care if you put dynamite underneath their chair. The middle 60% with any organization are the ones I want to focus on. I mean, we'll train all of them, obviously, but the top 20 are the ones that win the awards. Everybody's, yay, rah, 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 because they're your superstars. The bottom 20% are the ones we're typically bitching about at dinner over wine, that they're not doing it, they're never going to do it, they're underperforming, et cetera. They probably should be shown the door. But that middle 60%, because they're always overlooked, because we're focusing on the 20 and the 20, but if we focus on that 60, that's where you can really move the sales needle, because with right training, inspiration, goals, objectives, et cetera, some of that 60 moves up to your 20. Some of the 60 will move down because they don't want to work that hard, right? So these guys move up, these guys move down, and then eventually they move out if they don't want to play. It's what I call, you can't manage down. You have to level them up to your goals and objectives.
Okay.
But I've literally seen, that sweet spot is that 60. Oh my gosh, it's amazing what it can do to anybody's beauty business numbers, for sure. So I would strategize with any owner, is where do they fall in that parameter?
I'll bet a lot of salon owners are like me, and they're thinking, now that they're listening to this, they're thinking, I want to do that. Does anybody, let me ask you this though, does anybody complain, oh, I've got to buy so much inventory, my inventory costs are so up because they're selling so much?
That would be a really good problem to have.
That's a good problem to have.
Yeah, but then I'll share with you also on the flip side, I had a resort down in Orlando. The team did everything we wanted them to do. They were amazing. So I call back every week. Yep, our numbers are great. Week 2, week 3, they started to go down. Week 4, they had tanked. And I'm like, what the hell happened? Well, what we found out in that particular location was accounting for the resort did inventory. Accounting only ordered once a month. So guess what happened?
They didn't have anything to sell.
They didn't have anything to sell. And so then what happens is we've given the team what to do. They've done it. It's not on the shelf. You've made them look stupid. So now they shut down again. And now it's almost like the old Model T, where you got to crank start it, to get it going again. And so we really have to look at inventory management when the team does start selling effectively, because you will be flipping a lot more numbers, which is an awesome problem.
This is why this is my advice. Your inventory manager needs to be close to the action. It is
absolutely
somebody who is really engaged in the salon all day, all week, and they know they have an intuition about what is actually needed.
Right. And also, there's a skill that I have our front desk do, or like your inventory manager. And in one of my locations, we were consulting with, and they're like, oh, we don't want to buy more inventory, blah, blah, blah. Well, what we found I could have sold if I had it on the shelf, in 1 month was $5,000.
Wow. Wow.
Because they, well, we order 6, we only order 6, we only ever have ordered 6, but they could have sold 18 had they been really monitoring what they could have sold.
Right.
Not just what they did sell. I had one salon that also sold makeup, and they could have done another $3,500 in makeup, but they didn't have the right color mix. Because the buyer was, one hair color palette, and the customer base was really a different one. So guess where my SKU was on my makeup, right? It went to the buyer's preference, not the shopper's preference. So I always track, I could have sold list.
Right. Well, that's why they have fashion. That's why they have bachelor's degrees called fashion merchandising.
Exactly. Exactly. So there's a lot of ways. If any of your, followers and stuff would like to get, in touch, I'd be delighted to help them, to talk to them, to see, what we can do to really make, Q4 awesome. And then, have some plans in for Q1 as well too.
All right. Well, you and I will definitely talk, and we will figure it out. Carole Phillips, I want to thank you so much. Again, you can find her at beautysmarts.com, and you can certainly, you can find everything there on the contact page, but definitely take a look. And again, thank you so much, Carole.
Thanks for having me, and everybody have a great day.